All right, everyone. From that clickety clack sound, it's time for TV Oblivion, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanis. This is episode 16, season one. Today's date is September 10th, 2022. And thank you for joining me today. So, here is today's lineup for this episode. From the 1950s, I have the television sitcom The Halls of Ivy. From the 1960s, I have the television drama Mr. Broadway. From the 1970s is the Partridge Family 2200 AD. That's a anime series based on the Partridge Family. From the 1980s is the television syndicated serial Rituals. From the 1990s, I have the sitcom The Five Mrs. Buchanans. And from the 2000s is the television drama Jack and Bobby. And from the 2010s, the sitcom Bad Teacher. So this will be fun. Yeah, it really will be. Okay, we'll get started. But first, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Singular Wireless. Remember that? And here is a commercial from 2004. So when I return, I will explain a little history about Singular Wireless. Thank you.
For a limited time, get our best deal ever. 1,000 nationwide anytime minutes for just $39.99. Plus rollover, only from Singular. You can look around all you want. You won't find a better deal anywhere. But this deal won't be around forever, so don't look too long. Now get this new Motorola camera phone for just $49.99 after rebate. But hurry, this offer ends soon. 1,000 nationwide anytime minutes with rollover, only from Singular Wireless.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Singular Wireless. It's a cell phone company. This was founded in the year 2000, and it only ran for about 6 years, and then AT&T bought it. So, and originally, Senior Wireless was a joint venture. It was between SBC Communications and Bell South down there, and their headquarters was in Atlanta. And the funny thing is, one time I went on a trip to San Diego. I had the cell phone. This was in around that time. I had T-Mobile. Before that was VoiceStream. And then when I arrived at San Diego, the wireless uh, changed. How would you say that? The network, that is. It changed from T-Mobile to Singular. Isn't that funny? I saw it on the screen on my phone. This is before texting. This is with the flip phones. I love flip phones. Those were cool like that. So I hope you enjoyed the commercial. So so right now we're gonna get started on the show. First up, I'll talk about the sitcom from the 1950s. Is The Halls of Ivy, and let's see. The TV show premiered on October 19th, 1954. Last airing is October 13th, 1955. And it had 38 episodes, all in black and white. And this was based on a radio show. And the radio show aired on NBC. It was co-created by a writer named Don Quinn, and he was from Fibber, McGee, and Molly, a famous radio series. And the radio show starred actor Ronald Coleman and his wife, Benita Hume. They were from England, and it was based, he was president of a small Midwestern college called Ivy. It was called Ivy College, and he played William Todhunter Hall. And his wife, Benita Hume, played Victoria. And they always they interact with students, friends, colleagues, and that was the premise of this show, like that. And you could still listen to the radio episodes. I think you can if you'd like, And the television series, they added more supporting characters. Like, for example, there was Mary Wicks, who was in all the Lucy shows. She was her best friend. She played the housekeeper, Alice. And there was actor Ray Collins. He played Professor Merriweather, which he played Lieutenant Tragg later on Perry Mason. Okay. So right now I'm going to play the theme song to the Halls of Ivy. So sit back and enjoy. Thank you.
We are the halls of ivy that surround us here today, and we will not forget though we depart far away.
Welcome again to Ivy College, that is, in the town of Ivy, USA.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed the theme song for the Halls of Ivy. Before I start on the next show, I'll talk a little bit about Ronald Colman. He was an English-born actor, started in the theater, then silent movies, then he came to the United States and started his Hollywood film career. He received Oscar nominations, 3 of them, for his first, not his first movie. It was a movie called Bulldog Drummond. I never heard of this movie. Sounds interesting. The other one was Condemned, both from 1929. And the last one was Random Harvest, which is a wonderful movie. That's with Greer Garson. So that's a classic rom-com, if you can call it, back then. Beautiful. And it also starred in Tales of Two Cities, Lost Horizon, and The Prisoner of Zenda. I like that movie. That was great. And he was also starred in Kismet. It was in color with Marlene Dietrich. And he also won an Academy Award for Best Actor for a movie called A Double Life. I've never seen this movie. It sounds interesting. Maybe I'll look it up. And then his wife was Benita Hume. He was married before. There was a woman named Thelma Ray, but they got divorced. And they had one child. And he passed away on May 19th, 1958, at the age of 67. So a lot of people remember, I think a lot of people remember him from Random Harvest, from that. Because he played it so beautifully. Okay. Next up, I will talk about Mr. Broadway. This is a television drama, and it aired on CBS from September 20th of 1964 until December 26th of the same year. And it starred Craig Stevens, who's best known as Peter Gunn. I love that show. It's awesome. And only ran for 13 episodes. It didn't do so well rating wise. And his character's name was Mike Bell, and he was he worked for a public relations firm. So it wasn't like a crime drama or anything like that. But let's see, the supporting cast, there was one by Horace McMahon. I think that's his name. He was famous for Naked City. Remember the TV show? That's a good show. I might do a podcast episode about that. And there was I watched the show on YouTube. They have a few episodes, and it was pretty good. I like that because Craig Stevens is a very charismatic actor. I like him a lot, and I have Peter Gunn on DVD. I watched the show a few times. I got to watch the whole thing if I have time. So right now, I'm going to play the theme song for Mr. Broadway. The composer of the theme song is Dave Brubeck. You remember him from the famous song "Take 5." They used to play that when I live in Chicago now, and they played that on the late movie, and that was the theme song. I didn't know when I was a kid, I didn't know about it, and then I found out, and it's beautiful. So here is Mr. Broadway. Okay, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for Mr. Broadway. One guest star that stood out in the series was Liza Minnelli. Yeah, and this is before she became really, really famous. She was known she's Judy Garland's daughter, but she did some acting, in television, and then she's famous for her movie role in Cabaret. And I'll tell you a little about Craig Stevens. He was born July 8th, 1918, in a small town, Liberty, Missouri, and did some roles in movies and then television. But he's famous for, of course, Peter Gunn. I remember watching this show. The first time I watched the reruns of Peter Gunn was on WSNS TV channel 44, and it was cool to watch that. So, and then when the DVD came out, that came out, excuse me, um, I snatched it right away, and I loved it. Oh, I love the tone of it. Mostly it's shot, it's black and white. He's shot at night, because he's at the club, at Mother's, that is. But he was a good. He was a detective, a private detective. So it's cool. And they had cool music, nice, great guest stars in the show. And then he married actress Alexis Smith. You've seen her in a lot of movies. I remember from Dallas. She played a real nasty lady. And he died of cancer on May 10th, 2000. So, he was a wonderful actor. I liked him a lot. Okay. Next up, we got from the 1970s Partridge Family 2200 AD. I remember watching this show when it first aired, and I'll give you a little history of it. It aired on CBS, and it premiered on September 7th, 1974, and last aired December 21st of the same year, and then it aired reruns after that. And this was based on the television show, only it's not contemporary. It's set in the future. And originally, here's a little history of that. Hanna-Barbera, of course, created the show. They wanted to do an updated version of the Jetsons, where the kids, Elroy and Judy, Elroy was a little boy, Judy was a teenager, and they wanted to grow them up a bit, and so Elroy was in high school, and Judy was a young lady, and she had a job. Under the leadership of CBS, it was Fred Silverman. He's famous for ideas and creating wonderful shows. Excuse me. Famous for Charlie's Angels. He decided to make an animated version of the Partridge Family. Okay, I prefer the Jetsons because I love the show. And this was set in 2200 AD, set in the future. And when I posted the photo, this on social media, people say, "Oh no, this is the Jetsons. They just took the Jetsons, like the cells and the photos and all that, and they converted from the Jetsons to the Partridge Family." Okay, and so the members of the Partridge Family were in the show. Of course, Reuben Kincaid, manager. Not all the actors voiced them. So there was Danny Bonaducci, played Danny Partridge. There was Susan Croft, played Tracy. And Brian Foster played Chris Partridge, the second Chris, not the first one. And Susan Day did a voice of Laurie, but then she left. And someone else, and the actress who took over the voice was Sherry Alberani. She did the voice of Alexandra on Josie and the Pussycats and Josie the Pussycats in Outer Space. So, and David Cassidy, his character was there, but he did not voice. Neither did Shirley Jones. So I don't know what happened. I can understand that. And they also had a dog named Orbit. He was robotic, not like Astro, like that. And that lasted for 16 episodes. And let's see. So right now I'm going to play the theme song of Partridge Family 2200 AD. When that's over, when I return, I'll explain a little more about the show. Okay, here we go.
Cities rising in the sky, freeway traffic jetting high. Future's here for us to see. It's 2200 It's the Partridge Family, showing us how it's gonna be. The Partridge Family, loving it all and having a ball. It's 2200
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for Partridge Family 2200 AD. This show is not officially on DVD, but when the sitcom Partridge Family was released on DVD, on the first season they included 2 episodes, and I watched 2 of them, and they look pretty good. But I don't understand why they didn't release the whole set. Why are all the episodes? I don't know. Maybe it's music or some kind of silly thing like that. And funny thing, one of the did a voiceover was Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees. He did he did some voiceovers on some episodes, so that's kind of cool, like that. And yeah, he's my favorite monkey. He makes me laugh. He's still alive, thank goodness. And also, the voice of Reuben Kincaid was not Dave Madden. We know him from Rowan Martin's Laugh-In, and also he's famous for that role in Partridge Family, which he was the funniest man I ever saw. Actually, it was John Stevenson, so he did a lot of voices for Hanna-Barbera. So that's about it for this show. So, and it's so funny. Also, one last thing. Some of the characters appeared in a previous series, Goober and the Ghost Chasers, from another show from Hanna-Barbera. And Laurie Partridge, Danny Partridge, Tracy and Chris, all voice. And also Susan Day did that. She did all of them, what they appeared. But they were only there for about first 10 or 11 episodes, and that's it. Yeah. But that one is on DVD. I don't have it. I'd like to get it someday, but I love watching the show. It's hilarious. So I'll do another podcast episode about that show, Goober and the Ghost Chasers. Okay. Next up, here's a show that a lot of people have totally forgot, but I think me and a few people remembered. And it was a soap opera called Rituals. And it aired in first run syndication. And it lasted 1 year. And it premiered on September 10th, 1984, ended on September 6th, 1985. And it had 260 episodes. That's a lot. And this show was heavily promoted. I remember this in Chicago on WFLD TV Channel 32. I remember the commercials, and they showed the actors and all that. And I saw a couple episodes on television. I didn't get hooked on it yet because that was the era of the big soap operas, prime time, that is. Like Dallas, Dynasty, Falcon Crest, Knots Landing. Then later on, it was the Colbys, and so on. And I'll give you the storylines. This took place in a fictional town in Virginia. It was a town called Wingfield, and it was a home of the Wingfield Mills and Chapin Industries, 2 large employers. Also had a boarding school for girls called Haddon Hall. and it focused on their families and all that. And it had a good cast, and the families were. I'll tell you for a second. One was the Robertsons, the Chapins, the Gallaghers, the Washingtons, and the Lanes, and there were a lot of recurring characters like that. It had a good cast. It really did. And let's see. I'm going to read off some of the actors that you might be familiar with. There was Monty Markham. That guy, that actor appeared everywhere. He's still alive, and my favorite role he was in the $6 Million Man, and he played the $7 Million Man. That was a great episode. Also, let's see. There was in the Chapins. There was Dennis Patrick. He was well known as Vaughn. He played on Dallas, and he's also best known in Dark Shadows as Jason McGuire. Also, Paul Stoddard. He was in Dark Shadows as Jason McGuire. He was the slimiest character in the world in the show. That is, he was just awful. And let's see. Also, who played his wife, Taylor Van Platten, and let's see, was she his wife? No, I don't think. Never mind. That was first played by Joanne Flew. You remember her from a lot of TV shows. She was once married to Chuck Woolery, first host of Wheel of Fortune, and she only stayed for a few episodes, and because there's some I think they asked her to do something seductive, but then I heard she turned into religion, and she said no, I don't want to do that. And so I don't know if she got fired or she quit. I don't know. So they didn't kill off her character, so Tina Louise from Gilligan's Island took over the role. I saw her do that. She was very good. They're both wonderful actresses, but Tina Louise was Ginger, wonderful. And also there was Greg Mullavey. He played Eddie Gallagher. He's famous for Tom Hartman from Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Also, there was a couple of soap opera actors. If you remember Ken Shriner from General Hospital. Also Kevin Spiritus from Days of Our Lives. And who else? There was also there was Lynn Hamilton. She played Donna from Sanford and Son. And also Lawrence Hilton Jacobs from Welcome Back, Kotter. He was in the show. And there was George Lazenby. Played one movie in James Bond. He was in that. And let's see who else. There was actress Claire Yarlett. She was on there. She's famous for Bliss Colby on the Colbys. She's a very pretty lady. And the last one was Patty Davis, Ronald Reagan's daughter. Yeah, Ronald Reagan and Nancy's daughter was in Rituals. I didn't see her in the show, but it might have been interesting. Okay, right now I'm going to play the theme song for Rituals, and when I come back, I'll talk about a little more about the show. Okay, so here we go. Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for Rituals. I guess a little more information about this. Was never released on DVD. I wish it would. That'd be great. Be like a little nugget from the 80s, like that. But rating wise, didn't do very well. Then around 1989 to 1990, the series was aired in France, and it's called L'Anglin du Sens. My French is bad. My Greek is bad too, like that. And so that was the only time it was aired or syndicated. So that's another TV show that went into TV oblivion. It was gone like that. Okay, so next up we have The Five Mrs. Buchanans, and this is a sitcom, and this aired on CBS. First aired September 24th, 1994 to March 25th, 1995. And this show I loved when it first aired. I just caught it one Saturday night, and I was hooked on it. It was hilarious. And this was set in a town in Mercy, Indiana, and it centers four women, and they had one thing in common: their mother-in-law. The women were married to her sons, and it was hilarious. I really do. And it had a good cast. It really did. It had Judith Ivey. She played Alex Buchanan, and she was on the last season of Designing Women. She was pretty good in that. She was okay. Also, there was Beth Broderick. She's famous for Zelda Spellman from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. In Sabrina, she played a very articulate, very smart lady. But here she played kind of a ditz. She was not smart at all. Also, there was Harriet Sansom Harris as Vivian Buchanan. I'm sorry. Beth Broderick played Delilah Buchanan. Excuse me. So Harriet Sansom Harris played Vivian Buchanan, and I think she was the funniest one in the show because she was so, like, her life was, she was angry all the time, and she hated her mother-in-law. I'll get to her in a second. So, and also there was Charlotte Ross. She played Bree Buchanan. And she was the last one who got married, and she was very naive. And I remember her from Days of Our Life. I think she played the original Eve Donovan, very nasty lady. And last but not least, Emma Buchanan, the mother-in-law, played by Eileen Heckart, who was a famous actress. She was excellent. I loved her. She was famous for Aunt Flo from the Marytown Moore Show. And excuse me. So all the women interact with her, and Emma Buchanan was a very bossy woman, and very outspoken. Criticized everything, as a usual mother-in-law, but the husbands, her sons, were in the show, but they weren't there all the time. They were recurring. So the actors who was John Getz, he played Roy Buchanan. There was Mark Moses, he played the Reverend Charles Buchanan. Richard Poe as Ed Buchanan, and Tommy Hinckley played Jesse Buchanan. So let's see. So Roy is married to Judith Ivey's character. The Reverend was married to Beth Broderick's character. Ed Buchanan was married to Vivian Buchanan, and also Jesse was married to Bree. Okay. So it didn't do well in the ratings, but then one time it aired after Murphy Brown on Monday nights, and it did very well. But I wish it continued. I love this show. So right now I'm going to play the theme song for Five Mrs. Buchanans. And when I come back, I'll talk a little bit more about a couple of the characters, the actresses I will talk about. So here we go. Okay, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for Mrs. Buchanans. Before I start on the next show, I want to talk about the actress, Harriet Sansom Harris. Sometimes she's credited as Harry. You know, she was famous for her role in Desperate Housewives as Felicia Tillman. I remember watching that, and also BB Glazer on Frasier. That's why I want to talk about that because she was hilarious in Frasier. She played Frasier Crane's agent, and there was one classic episode where she was trying to quit smoking, and everyone tried to encourage her to stop, but she couldn't stop, and she didn't want to quit. She wanted to continue, and there was a scene at Frasier's apartment, and they asked her, "What does it feel like to smoke? How does it feel?" And she's describing it all over, oh, that tingling sensation and all that. And after she explained how smoking smoking was, there was everyone in the cast had the urge to take up smoking. It's hilarious. She's a wonderful actress. I like her. She's funny, very talented. Okay. Next up, we have the television drama Jack and Bobby. Well, this is unusual, and this first aired on September 12th, 2004, and last aired May 11th, 2005, and it aired on the WB, which is now the CW. It only had 22 episodes, and it starred Matt Long and Logan Lerman as Jack and Bobby McAllister, and they were two teenage brothers in Missouri, and one of them will be the president of the United States from 2041 to 2049. And it had a good cast. Christine Lottie played their mother. She was a college professor. And there was John Slattery from Mad Men. He was in there. Also, there was Bradley Cooper, the movie actor. He started in this show, and he wasn't well known back then. Then I think he was on Alias, the TV series, and then he went on to a very successful movie career. He started in that movie. I forgot the name of A Star is Born. I'm sorry. That movie with Lady Gaga. I like that movie. And it was a very good show. The critics love it. But rating wise, no. It didn't do very well. So I remember I watched the show a little bit. I really did. And I liked it. I really did. And that was at the time where there was another show around the time it was Dawson's Creek. It was the WB era. So right now I'm going to play the theme song of Jack and Bobby. And when I come back, I'll talk about a little more about the show, maybe about the actors. We'll see. So here you are. Okay, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for Jack and Bobby. The actor Matt Long, he played Jack, of course, and let's see, did he play Jack? I forgot. Yes, he did. I'm sorry. Yes, Matt Long played Jack McAllister. He's a good actor. I like him a lot, and the show was created by Greg Berlanti. He's famous for the superhero shows on the CW, like for example, Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Batwoman. A couple of them have been canceled. The only one left now is The Flash. and that will be ending next year. So I don't know if they're going to create some more, but Stargirl is on now. Okay. And let's see, Matt Long, he starred in a few movies. He was famous in Ghost Rider and City White. He's in right now. He's in the show Manifest. I think it's coming back on NBC. We'll see about that. And he was also in Mad Men with John Slattery, and I think someone else was in the show. I don't know who. And he also had a recurring role on Private Practice, the spinoff from Grey's Anatomy. So I think Manifest will come back, so you'll probably see him. Okay. Last show I'm going to talk about is Bad Teacher. I remember this one. And this is based on a comedy film from 2011. And it starred Cameron Diaz and Juster Timberlake. Also in the cast was John Michael Higgins and Jason Segel. And it said it was a good movie. I never seen it. Maybe I'll catch it on Netflix or rent it. And so the television show premiered on April 24th, 2014, and last year, July 26th, 14, and it was a bomb. It didn't do very well at all. And the show was canceled after 3 episodes, and then they removed it from the schedule, and then it aired during the summer of 2014 in July. So they burned off all the episodes like that, and it only had 13 episodes. It starred Ari Grainer, also Sarah Gilbert from Roseanne, Ryan Hansen. Also, there was Kristen Davis from Sex and the City, also from Melrose Place, and also David Allen Greer. He played the principal. I like that man. He's hilarious like that. And the plot was Ari Grainer's character, Meredith Davis, is divorced from her husband, and she had nothing in the bank account, and she was not a very bright person. So she moves in with her friend's family and hired her as a teacher. And she became not a very good teacher, not very influential. So, and that was basically it. And then I saw the show. I remember watching it about a couple. No, not a couple of episodes. Maybe one episode. It was not great. So, also in the cast, there was a recurring character was Colin Hanks. He played the coach. He was the gym teacher, and that's Tom Hanks' son, which is a very good actor. So right now, I'm going to play the theme song for Bad Teacher. So sit back and enjoy. Thank you.
I'm here to blow your mind. I'll give an education. Give me the wine and dine. Hey! Na 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 na.
Okay, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for Bad Teacher. A very short theme song, not much. I'll talk a little bit about the actress, Ari Grainer. Yeah, and she did some theater and some television. Mostly she was in the movies she was in. She was in Mystic River. That was her first movie role. She was in The Book of Love. And also, let's see what else. American Crime. She was in that. In television, her first her television debut happened on The Sopranos, and she was only there for about 4 episodes. She was also in Law and Order, Veronica Miles, CSS Miami, remember, and Numbers, remember that. She did voices on American Dad. She was on the TV show Fringe. Remember that? And it was that That was a good show. I like that. And she's still acting, so that's good. Only she was also the producer of the show, A Bad Teacher. So she tried. I guess didn't do so well. So okay. So that is it for this episode 16 of TV Oblivion, the podcast. So I'll do a recap of what I discussed. So here it is. From the 1950s, I talked about the television sitcom The Halls of Ivy. From the 1960s, the television drama Mr. Broadway. From the 1970s, the animated TV series Partridge Family 2200 AD. In the 1980s, the television serial Rituals. From the 1990s, the television sitcom The Five Mrs. Buchanans. From the 2000s is the television drama Jack and Bobby. And the 2010s, the television sitcom Bad Teacher. Okay. So thank you for joining me today on this episode. I had a good time. I will do another episode soon, probably next week. This episode will be published soon, so you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. Also, it'll be on my YouTube channel, which is TV Oblivion, and it'll also be posted on my social media accounts. So this is Pete Costanish, your host, and I hope everyone will have a great day, and I hope to hear from you soon on the next episode. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye.